Breeding devices. Are contrivances for cross pollination. So, outbreeding devices are contrivances for cross pollination. The majority of the flowering plants produce hermaphrodite flowers or bisexual flowers, so whatever the pollen grains are released from the flower, they may reach the stigma of the same flower. For avoiding this condition, right now, so for avoiding, outbreeding devices are contrivances for cross pollination. So, majority of the flowering plants produce hermaphrodite flowers. As a result, so whenever the anthers are mature, the mature anther rupture. As a result, the pollen grains are released. The released pollen grains reach the stigma of the same flower. As a result, it facilitates the self-pollination. But here, the continuous self-pollination develop inbreeding depression. For avoiding that condition, right now, so the plants develop different devices to avoid self-pollination and encourage the cross-pollination. There are different types. What are those different types? The first one is dichogamy. See, what is this dichogamy? So, in bisexual flowers, right now, so male reproductive organs mature on time, but the female reproductive organ do not show synchrony. So as a result, we can find out two types of flowers in these members. What is the condition, ma? Flower is bisexual, but male reproductive organs mature, but the female reproductive organs do not show synchrony. As a result, right now, so it facilitates cross pollination. Based on that, the flowers are two types. Protandry. Here, what is protandry? Pro means early, andry is nothing but androecium. That means androecium matures earlier than stigma. Which one, ma? Androecium is nothing but anthers mature earlier than stigma, so that whatever the pollen grains released from that flower, if they reach the stigma of the same flower, then also it do not undergo self-pollination, because the stigma do not show the receptivity, or stigma do not mature, so that whatever the pollen grains right now landing, or whatever the pollen grains land on the stigma, they do not germinate. So it avoid which one? Self-pollination, but it facilitate which one, ma? Cross-pollination. So that's what it encouraging. In which members we can find out protandrous flowers or protandrous condition? So in the members of family Asteraceae, or another name for this, Compositaceae. Asteraceae or Compositaceae. And another one is the protogyny. So pro means already, gynoecium is nothing but gyne is nothing but gynoecium. That means gynoecium mature earlier than androecium. Gynoecium mature earlier than androecium. So that so when gynoecium mature, but there is no pollen grains from the same flower, so that it facilitates which pollination, ma? Cross pollination, and it avoid which pollination? Self pollination. So that it discourages the self pollination and encourage cross pollination. Example for this, Solanum, that means Solanaceae family members. Solanum, Datura. So both these two, Solanum and Datura, both the things comes from the family Solanaceae. So this is about dichogamy. And the next one is hercogamy. So what is this hercogamy? Hetero means different. See, so the flowers are bisexual. So in this type of flowers, so both the sex organs are present in different positions and in different directions. Hercogamy. So that means the sex organs are present in different positions and different directions. So example for different positions, hibiscus, and example for different directions, gloriosa superba. Gloriosa. So different positions. Yes, if we take the hibiscus, see, this is the stigma of the hibiscus, but anthers are present below the stigma. When these anthers are mature, as a result, the divisions, when anthers are divisions, pollen grains are released, but released pollen grains do not reach the stigma because the stigma is present above the stamens, so that whatever the pollen grains are released, those pollen grains do not reach the stigma of the same flower, so that it facilitates cross-pollination. Sir, what about this? So different directions. In case of gloriosa, so stigma in one direction and anthers or stamen in another direction, so that it is also facilitate cross-pollination. It also facilitates cross-pollination. The heterostyle. So name itself indicates that hetero means different style. See, in some plants, the flower shows so different styles and different stamens. In this beginning of this chapter, we discussed the length and the number of stamens are not uniform, even in this condition also. So some plants so shows the different heights of the styles and the different heights of the stamens. But this heterostyle is of two types: diheterostyle and triheterostyle. In case of diheterostyle, see, so for example, this is the flower. This is stigma and these are the stamens. See, the stigma is more height than stamens. And if you take the another flower of the same plant, this is a short stigma and a long stamens. See, whenever these long stamens mature, as a result, the released pollen grains reach this stigma, and whenever these short stamens mature, the released pollen grains reach this stigma. As a result, it facilitates cross-pollination. Example for this, primulus. Similarly, triheterostyle. That means three different types of flowers. One flower has a long style, right now short stamens and intermediate stamens, and another flower has a short style, short and intermediate stamens, and another flower has a intermediate style, long and short stamens. As a result, cross pollination takes place. Example for a triheterostyle is oxalis lycra. So this is about heterostyle. Next one is sensitive stigmatic lobes. Sensitive stigmatic lobes. Now sensitive stigmatic lobes. In some members of the plants, the stigmatic lobes are very sensitive, and then they come close when they are going to receive the same species of the same plants of the pollen grains. So that the stigmatic lobes will be closed, so the pollen grains are unable to germinate on the stigma. As a result, it prevents self-pollination, right now, and facilitate cross-pollination. Example for this, Martinia and Mimulus. For example, if it is a stigma open, right now. So whenever the same pollen grains are landing on the stigma at the time, the sensitive stigmatic lobes will be closed. Whenever these sensitive stigmatic lobes are closed, as a result, the pollen grains are unable to land on the stigma and they can't germinate. When they are unable to germinate, automatically, so unable to germinate, then which pollination takes place? It prevents the self-pollination and facilitate cross-pollination. It prevents the self-pollination and facilitate which one? Cross-pollination. Now the next one is pollen prepotency. Pollen prepotency. In some members of the plants, so whenever it, in some members of the plants, both the same same flower of the pollen grains and foreign pollen grains may reach the stigma, but the foreign pollen grains will germinate vigorously and produce the pollen tube than same flower of the pollen grain. This is called pollen, right now? Pollen prepotency. Pollen prepotency. What is this condition? In some members of the plants, same plants of the same flower of the pollen grain and another flowers of the pollen grains may reach the stigma, but the foreign pollen grains vigorously germinate and produce the pollen tube and facilitate the fertilization than which one? Same flower of the pollen grains. So this is called pollen prepotency. Examples, in which members we can find out this pollen prepotency. The pollen prepotency is observed in beans, family Fabaceae members. Beans and the family Fabaceae members. And another one is self-incompatibility. Self-incompatibility. Yes, it is a type of genetic mechanism. It is a type of genetic mechanism. Whenever the same plants of the pollen grain so land on the stigma, it prevents the germination of the pollen grains and formation of the pollen tube. As a result, it prevents the fertilization. Hence, it is called self-incompatibility. It is called self-incompatibility. Example for this: Abutilon, Passiflora, etc. So the last one, that is diclinic. So what is this diclinic? Production of unisexual flowers is called diclinic. So, but based on this, it is of two types. So, monoecious and dioecious. Here, monoecious. Sir, what is this monoecious? In previous chapter, that is reproduction in organisms, we discussed monoecious. Both the male and the female reproductive organs are present on the same plants, but in different flowers. That is called monoecious. So, what is monoecious? Plant is monoecious, yet it can produce unisexual flowers. Plant is which one? Monoecious, but it produces which type of flowers? Unisexual flowers. See, so both the male and the female reproductive organs are present on same plants of different flowers. That is called monoecious. Example, yes, if we take the maize and castor. In maize and castor, we can find out monoecious diclinic or unisexual flowers. Sir, how you can say that maize is a monoecious plant and how it produces unisexual flowers? See, if you observe the main, whatever the edible part of the maize, that is nothing but a edible part of the maize, it will develop from the axils of the leaf. But at the terminal position, we can find out white feather-like structures. Those are male flowers. See, male flowers are present in different place and female flowers are present in different. Right now, that's what the plant is monoecious. Monoecious means male and female reproductive organs are present on same plant but in different flowers. and dioecious. Dioecious. What is this dioecious? Male and female reproductive organs are present on different plants of the same species, that is called dioecious. Example for this, papaya. Example for this, papaya. That's it. So these are all contrivances for cross pollination or outbreeding devices. That's it.